Force and Vortexers got 14 kills in the Victory Royale in Game 1 of the Elite Cup Final. Let's take a look at how they find Surge, take height, and much more that we will cover later in this video. Axe Force and Vortexers land at Breakwater Bay, and they immediately start to look to trade Storm Surge with the team to the north of them. Axe Force and Vortexers then quickly rotate out of Breakwater Bay, and they already know the location of some slap berries to speed up the rotation. Axe Force and Vortexers rotate in the zone and tag up players in their backs very similarly to how Cammy and Seti played Storm Surge in the Invitational. This allowed Vortexers and Axe Force to find a huge amount of damage, as most of the time players don't cover their backs when rotating in the zone. Axe Force and Vortexers then leave the zone and tarp their way into the third zone because there is a lot of congestion around them and they don't want to take any risk of being lobby focused. Once in the zone, Axe Force and Vortexers quickly jump on an opportunity to find extra loot, kills, and materials by third partying and wiping a fight very close to them. Force and Vortexers pull a close fourth zone but a max 50-50. To rotate the 50-50, both these players hammer around the edge of the zone to reduce the amount of players who can shoot them, and they build themselves up into a high layer. From here, they pull a close first moving and see they are below the Storm Surge. Axe Force and Vortexers respond to this by hammering once towards the front side of the zone and then landing on a high layer. From here, Vortexers and Axe Force spray forward at players hammering in front of them. Axe Force and Vortexers then make themselves one of the last teams to hammer from the backside of the first moving so that no one can spray their backs. Vortexers and Axe Force land again on a high layer, and when second moving pulls, they instantly look to make a rotate but find an easy refresh opportunity onto Hen, who just cleaned up a fight outside of Vortexers and Axe Force's box, and Hen is a solo, making this refresh incredibly easy. Vortexers and Axe Force then immediately transition from this kill back to the rotation by continuing to hammer through the moving zones, saving materials each time. Vortexers then looks back in the zone, and notice how he has his crosshair ready on a player who's about to hammer. This play doesn't end up working out, but it's a very effective way to get eliminations onto players in the endgame. Vortexers and Axe Force then double hammer towards the front side of the third moving, and both crank for the high ground where they easily take it. Playing height with hammers in the game is much harder though, but Vortexers and Axe Force hold it extremely well. Both Axe Force and Vortexers play 3 tiles up from the second height team, and they put a ton of extra pressure onto the second height team. This prevents Axe Force and Vortexers from being randomly griefed by a team just trying to hammer towards the front side, and by putting a ton of pressure onto the second height, Axe Force and Vortexers are able to dissuade the second height team from trying to make a push for height themselves. From here, Axe Force and Vortexers hold height, and then when the final moving plays up a hill, they sit on it and spray until the game comes down to a 2v1 where they can't find the player, and then Axe Force and Vortexers immediately look up and find a kill onto Queasy, who was ballooning in the air. With this, Axe Force and Vortexers were able to win game 1 and set themselves up to come 5th in the Elite Cup Finals. If you want to watch another team do well in the Elite Cup, go check out the video on screen.